Hello everybody, this is Ken Faulkner, and I got another video with a quiet carry knife, and I'm able to do this because of the generosity of Don from DNK Knives. You may have seen the one I did of the 9 from quiet carry. This is another one that he sent. Out of 3, this is the next one that I checked out for a couple days here, and I want to share it with you guys because this is a very cool knife. This one's been around, I think, a little bit longer than the 9 because I've heard of it back, it seems like a few years back. I don't know exactly when it showed up, but this is my first time to actually check it out, and let's get into it. All right, so we got that card again, and we got the Drift from Quiet Carry. Again, it's got those 4 dots. That's their trademark. So you see that on at least on the 3 knives that were sent to me. I assume that they're doing it on all of them. And look at the steel on this thing. It's Vanex. If you can see it, get up nice and close and personal, and try to get it to focus. If you can't see it, you have to trust me. It does say Vanex, which is not that common of a steel. I haven't seen it around a lot. This knife is definitely not the size that I would normally go for. In a lot of ways, I mean, it's very thin, and it's very light, and the blade is shorter than my normal carry, but it does have that forward finger choil, so that's the redeeming factor for me. That it is not really, if I'm back here, it's kind of a 3.5 finger knife, and it's kind of surprising for the size it is that it carries so well. But when you get in that forward finger choil, it just feels really good. Nice EDC size. I know a lot of guys out there really like a knife about this size. Now, I don't know if this is a trait for Vanex, but this thing definitely, you gotta wipe it down a lot. I don't mind because I like wiping my knives down and keeping them clean, but it does seem to be a fingerprint magnet. I always carry hanks with me. You know, I think a lot of people that carry knives will have a hank with them all the time. So, yeah, if I see that fingerprint, I just break out the hank, get that microfiber. We're looking at the sharpen length is something like 2.5 inches. So that is, because I usually like a 3.5 inch knife, but this is 2.5. But I do like the fact that it's tall, and we're talking about, looks like 1 1/8 inch tall, which is, and I've talked about this before, something that I really like on a knife. The handle length. So I usually are going for about a 4 inch, but we're talking about 3 3/4. So, you know, it's not too far off. It is titanium handles, and it is just kind of bare titanium. I think it's got a stone wash on it. You can see that there. It looks beautiful, as all of their knives do. Another cool thing about it, at least for me, I don't know how other people feel. I know that some people don't like the wire clip, but this one's got a wire clip, and I do like a wire clip. I don't mind that it's, that it's small in the pocket. That's not something that I worry about so much in a knife. But if you like that, it is definitely narrow this way, very thin, and it is very light. So this one, as I'm carrying it, I'm thinking about like other knives that I have. So I kind of broke out some stuff from my collection. I don't have anything exactly like it, but I have a whole bunch of them that have little features that are similar to it. I do have the 0562 tie, which also has that stonewash titanium handles, and it's a little slick. But both of these knives, really, I've never had that feeling of losing my grip on it. It does feel a little slick, but you still can feel some confidence in your hand that you're not going to drop it. Another one this kind of reminds me of is the bug out. Now, obviously, I've swapped out those handles, but it's that lightweight and that thin blade. And I'm going to do some measurements. I'm really curious. I haven't measured it up, but I'm curious about thickness, about weight on this knife. I have one that's kind of similar looking but it is steel handles. This is a rake. This is the P801-SF. I always have to look that up because I can't memorize numbers. I can barely remember names. Oh, wait a minute. There's a number right there. Yeah, I just have to look at there. So that was nice of them to put it. Since they just gave it a number and some letters, it's nice of them to put it on the handle to help me out. This is one that I've always kind of, after I bought it, I kind of think maybe they were kind of copying a Chris Reeve, you know, I don't know. It's definitely not, you know, full on, you know, copy, but similar design. It's a nice little knife, but it does have that thinness and flatness of the scales like this one does. It's very much not sharp on the edges. It is rounded off on both of these, but it's very flat and thin. So it kind of feels, for me that I usually carry a little thicker knife, thicker handle knife, it feels a little awkward to me. Both of these knives are kind of like that. But like I said, I still was comfortable with carrying it. Another one that's going to be steel and more down to the size. Compare the size to this one. Here, put it this way. Is the Leek from Kershaw. And that's a good little knife. Definitely a little knife. And so you can see that they're just about the same size. Obviously not as tall on the blade, and obviously the shape is different. I do like a belly on a knife, but you know, these Wharncliffe type shapes are definitely going to come in handy. This Leek is assisted, which isn't my favorite, but that's a cool little knife. I've had this one in the collection for a long time. Another light one, the Elementum. Similar size, not as thin in the handle on this one. They got a little bit more thickness here than we do here, and of course it's got that cabochon wood. So, but it's still slick, but I don't feel like it's gonna fall out of my hand. So very similar. This one doesn't have that forward finger choil. Well, you can kind of have that little spot there, but yeah, it's about that similar size. Closed length. Let's see what it looks like. I was just kind of curious. I haven't really put these up next to each other. But yeah, it looks like this one is very close to the same size. Just height-wise, there's definitely a difference. Okay, moving on. I mean, this is kind of curious about this, but I don't want to take up the whole video. Then I got this one with the wire clip. This is from Knives Fast, Tempest Knives, the Pinion. Nothing really that much else reminds me of it, but I do remember when I got this Pinion, how much I did enjoy the pocket clip, just because it goes in and out of the pocket so well. You don't get a lot of friction against the material. It's just a very smooth. It holds well, but it goes in and out of the pocket very nicely. And I know a lot of people don't like the look of it, but I actually don't mind it at all. And then another one that's another tall knife as well is the Growler from Devo Knives. Actually, the Growler is kind of, for me, it's kind of small lengthwise, but it does have that tall blade. And yeah, looking at it, you can see it's definitely just a bigger knife overall. This one does kind of have flat scales, but thicker, so not quite as thick. And then this one is, of course, a micarta, so you're going to have a lot more grip on this one here. But you do see similar DNA there on the way the blade is so tall. But anyway, those are all my comparisons I was doing. I'm going to get into some measurements. I'm really curious about this. The action on this knife is just, you know, going into it, I mean, just well designed. Good flick, good detent on it. Everything is just really nice. I haven't cut with it very much. I'll cut a piece of paper. I don't think I've actually cut anything with it. I'm a little bit new to this, getting other people's knives in, so I'm a little bit, even though I have to say about Don, when we talked about this, I told you he was very easygoing about it, very, you know, he had no rules. I was saying, okay, so what's the rules? You know, what? And these are actually from his personal collection. So he is a collector in his own right, other than having DNK Knives as a knife store. And he said, you know, do what you want with it. And there was nothing like, you have to give a good review, you have to do this or that. I mean, he's not actually selling these knives. I mean, he could have sent knives that he's trying to sell and trying to promote those knives. I did mention that I would like to, you know, I asked him, hey, is it okay if I mention your name? And he said, yeah, and if you mention the store, that's good. So I do want to make sure you guys know DNK Knives. Go check them out. But yeah, I'm sure he would let me cut with this, take it apart, he said even. I just don't feel comfortable with it. If we do more of them later, maybe sometime, I'll get into some of that kind of stuff. But anyway, trying to keep from talking too much. We got our calipers here. Turn them on, zero it out. I am curious. Let's just go ahead and check how thick the blade stock is. Okay, so I must be in millimeters here, because that does not look like inches. And I'm not familiar with millimeters, so we're going to go ahead and do our inches. Okay, so we're talking about 0.086. You know, the funny thing is that even though I am familiar with inches, one of my other videos, and Sawtooth Dave caught me on it. So 0.093, I totally did the conversion incorrectly into the fractions of an inch. So 16th of 0.0625, so this is more like 3/32. So you're not even quite up to that eighth of an inch. You may be even a little thinner than 3/32. So very thin. And of course we said it was about, let me get a little better measurement here, about 1.19 this direction. Also here I wanted to check out how thick is this handle, because usually you see a lot of them at like ½ inch, but this is more like 3/8 of an inch, 0.371, 3/8 of an inch. I could try going behind the edge. I know some people are good at this. I don't exactly know how to do this so well, so I would not take my measurement as, but 0.025 maybe, if I got it in the right place. It definitely feels very thin behind the edge. And here we go, got to wipe it off again. So yeah, all these sizes, let's compare it to like the bug out. I want to see how thick this material is. So you're talking about 0.090, so maybe even a little thicker, which is the one that I would say would be comparable in thickness. Maybe the leak, because that's a very thin knife. Let's see what that looks like. No, that actually looks even thicker than the bug out. No, about the same as the bug out, 0.090. But they're all in that same kind of range, so that kind of gives you a feel for how thin that knife is. And then if I go on the scales on this one, it's probably the thinnest one I have. Yeah, it's a little less than 3/8, 0.31. The bug out, even though I got the Flightanium scale, so this is going to definitely be thicker than a regular bug out. That's almost to that ½ inch, 0.426. So anyway, yeah, then we're going to look at the weight. So let's move some stuff out of the way and turn it on. And we'll go with ounces. So we're at ounces here. And the quiet carry is 0.28 ounces. Yeah, I thought it was light. That's very, very light. So let's compare that to the bug out. And like I said, this might be a little bit heavier one because of the Flightanium scales. 0.22, so very similar. 0.22 and 0.28. Okay. Yeah. So if you like that bug out weight, This is very, very close to that. You get a little bit more height on your knife. The length is probably about the same. You get the titanium, obviously superior to the FRN handles that you'd normally get with the bug out. So yeah, this is a nice little knife. And I did enjoy carrying it quite a bit. I'm going to be moving on to the third one. I want to try to kind of wrap it up this week. Like I think I mentioned before that my plan is to kind of bring them all back together and kind of set them all three side by side. Let's take a look at it, give you my final thoughts on it before sending it on its way. So yeah, the Drift, it's a very good, smaller EDC, lighter weight EDC, premium materials, Vanick steel, great quiet carry, quality. So yeah, I would recommend it. Even though I'm more of a big knife guy, this is definitely a good knife to get. So thanks, Don, DNK Knives. Check it out, and appreciate you guys watching. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.